Hello animators. Today we're going to take a look at how to utilize layers to better control the characters that we create for our animations. So what I'm going to do today is import a number of different parts of a character, and we're going to use those different parts, change the behavior and control and position of the layers, and change the relationship between those layers to allow our character to do what we want him to do. So I'm going to start by importing a few different layers. So I'm going to choose from my File menu, Import. I'm going to go to my desktop where my character parts are saved, and I'm going to open up Boy Parts. Now I'm going to attach these files and give them to you below on this lesson. So you should have access to these images. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in body. And I import the body of a cartoon character. So I'm going to use my scale tool to shrink my character down to get him to an appropriate size. Now, even before I continue with this, I'm going to go to my view menu and I'm going to click on best fit. And that's going to zoom my canvas in to fill up my screen so my canvas is as big as I can get it. All right, so I have my character here, my character's body. I'm going to resize it. And again, this dot right here, this orangish dot, allows me to resize in proportion. Now keep in mind from our previous lesson, if I want to stretch my character, I can do that, pull the top yellow dot, or if I want to stretch my character on the x-axis, I can pull that yellow dot. But I'm going to keep my character the same, and when I use this scale button, it scales in proportion, so the height and width stay in proportion to the original image. And we know then that the green dot also allows me to move my character around the screen. All right, so I'm going to shrink it just a little bit more. So there I have my body. Now I'm going to bring in another image. So again, File, Import, go back to my same location, and you should have these all on your desktop once you download them from the list that I've given you. So I'm going to bring in the head next, and there's my head, and again I'm going to scale it, trying to keep it in proportion, and I'm going to move it up and set it on the neck. It looks a little bit small. Maybe I'll just make it a bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so I now have my body and my head, and you'll see my layers are in the appropriate order. And I'm going to bring in my next layer. So File and Import, I'm going to bring in the hand, and we'll go through the same process, scale and position. Try and find the size that looks about right. Okay. I'm happy with that. And I'll do that one more time. File and Import. And this time I'm going to bring in a leg. Now notice, I'm going to move that right off again. Notice I have on this image, I have areas where there's a black outline, and then there's areas where there is no black outline. These are basically going to be forming the joints of the character. So as I move them into position, you'll see again here, there's no black outline here, no black outline here. So I want these two areas to overlap as best I can. I'm going to rotate him a little bit using my blue. There we go. I'm happy enough with that for now. All right, so you'll notice I have imported the body, the head, one arm, and the other arm. And if I go back to import more, there is no more legs. So I can't bring in another leg or bring in another arm. But what I am going to do is simply duplicate the one I have to give me a left and a right version. So if you're on the proper layer, hand layer, move down here to the bottom right corner, and you're going to see a button that says Duplicate Layer. So I'm going to do that. And before I do anything, I'm going to label them. So I'm going to call this one Hand Left. And I'm going to move this layer over to the left side. Now I'm looking from my perspective, so this is the left side according to my view. And I will do with the other hand, I'm going to label it hand R. And of course, to change the name, you just double click on the name and you have the option then to change. So I now have two hands. So the one that I've labeled hand left that's on the left-hand side of my screen, I'm going to flip it the other way. Now, the easiest way to do this, I think, is simply grab the skew tool and just flip it right over to the other side. Now, you do need to be a little bit careful in terms of the proportion of your hand. So my hand is really stretched out there. So I'm going to do that again, just a little bit less. And again, at this point in time, I can make it bigger. So I'm going to move it now into position and see if it looks reasonably good. Move it in a little bit more. All right, fairly happy with that. And I'm going to do the same thing with the leg. I'm going to click on it and duplicate it. And the one I've just created, I'm going to call it leg left or leg L. And the one that I originally had, again, right side from my point of view. So I'll take that copy now and move it over, and we'll do the same thing. I'm going to take it to the other side and make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to rotate with my blue and move it into position and see if I have two legs that look reasonably decent. And the left one to me still looks a little bit too small. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just done it this way. There we go. All right. So now what I've got is a completed character. I have two different legs. I have my body, and I have my right and left arm and my head. So you'll see that over on my layer control, I have all of those layers, all separate. Now, if you've noticed when I was moving things around there, I do have an ability to rotate objects. So if I look at this arm, for example, and I want to rotate it, I'm going to move the blue dot. And the blue dot rotates around this green central axis. So that obviously is not working for my animation. I need the axis of the character's limb to be somewhere up here in the shoulder. So what I have to do is hold down my control key, and when I do that, I can move the rotational axis of that layer to wherever I want. So if I place it there now, I can go back to the left arm or left hand, and when I rotate, the character's arm moves. Now I can see by rotating that I haven't got the position perfect, so I can simply at any point in time just move that position a little bit and see how it works for me. And that looks pretty good there for the right arm. All right, now I'm going to do the same with this arm. So I need to hold down control, move my rotational axis, and then go ahead and test it out. Okay, I'm happy with both of those. Now, what I do want to do, though, is change the layer of the bodies, or change the order of the layers. I want the body to be above the arms. So this section right here on the arm is there so that when you do rotate all the way up, you're seeing that part coming out, but I don't want that to be in front. So I'm going to just click on the body layer, and I'm going to move the body layer up by clicking the up arrow. I want the body to be above everything except the head. So I'm going to move all the way up, and then I'm going to need to take the head and move it all the way up so it's on top.